My name is Sierra Shaw. I lived in Wahikuli on Wahikuli Road. I was a server at Kimo's on Front Street, which was like one of the first born TS restaurants. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Slater Fleck. I used to work at Lahaina Grill, and when the fires happened, I was just doing surf lessons. I was a surf instructor, and when the fires were happening, I was in Wahikuli with my fiance Sierra, but I actually live in Shark Pit, and my house was also destroyed as well. So.
All right, and you guys want to touch about, kind of go through the experience that you guys had and what happened during that day?
It was actually one of our friends' 21st birthdays, and we had been sitting at Duke's for a few hours waiting to get a table. The power had been out since like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, so it was hard to get a table, and then we ended up just going back to my house in Wahikuli and playing Scrabble with my mom because the power was out. And then I got a call from my brother Ola, and he was like, hey, have you guys seen this fire yet? We had no idea about it, and we just, because it was like on the backside of our house, so we turned around and there were just like black smoke just filling the sky, and the winds were pushing so hard. My sister was really worried that one of the mango trees in her front yard was going to go over. It was like anytime the wind blew, like her lawn was just moving forward. And at first we weren't really concerned about the fire reaching our house because I guess we thought it was a little more under control than it was. We definitely should have thought otherwise though with the way the winds were blowing. And we decided to leave the house just for the evening just because we were worried about smoke coming in our way. So my mom and I had just packed a few clothes for the evening. I luckily grabbed my laptop, a book I was reading, and a toothbrush. She grabbed all 6 of her chickens and her dog. And yeah, we just stayed up north for the night. And my brother-in-law, Kimo Clark, he's the owner of Truex. He had been fighting the fires up at Lahaina Luna. He had called us and was like, yeah, I think you guys should go stay elsewhere just because of the way the wind is shifting. And he had been fighting the fires all night, and he came back to the place where we were staying up north that night at like 12 o'clock and just like told us that like the fire just got so out of control that all of our houses were gone, and like the whole neighborhood is most likely going to be gone too. So
Yeah, so my take on it was I have a routine of waking up in the morning, going to work out, and then I go and see her and we do our regular things. And I went to go to the gym I go to at 7, and it was closed because there was power outage, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go start the day elsewhere, do something different. And I actually ended up just kind of being with Sierra the whole day. And we were, like she said, we went down to Duke's, and I had touched base with my mom here and there. She was like, wow, the winds are so crazy at Shark Pit. Like, there's water spots everywhere. The wind is just like, it was basically just tearing up all the houses. Like, we could see shackles of people's roofs. Like, it was just, you could see Lahaina was already kind of starting to tear itself apart. And the more the day came to an end, the worse it got, honestly. The winds were blowing so hard. People were saying 70 miles an hour. It felt more like 100 miles an hour at some points. And yeah, it was kind of surreal because I had only the clothes on my back, and I didn't realize that my house was going to burn. I didn't think it was going to start going that way. And because from Wahikuli, you can't really tell from all the black smoke, all the houses burning from Lahaina Luna. I mean, it's right in between basically Shark Pit and Wahikuli. So we were kind of blindsided, and I had no idea if my house was going to be there or not in the morning. But, you know, it's hard because you don't realize what you've lost until you've lost it. And it's honestly such a humbling thing when you lose everything you have, you know. Especially when you are just wearing shorts or shirt and some slippers and that's all you have. So yeah, that was kind of my take on what happened. It's still breathtaking to see what Lahaina's like and how much we have to rebuild and how long that's going to take. It's definitely not something to take lightly.
All right, you guys want to talk about what happened after the fire and what people did, what the government did, how everyone came together
to start.
Yeah.
For the first couple days after the fire, I didn't see anything coming from the government's end. A lot of it was just community and just out of the goodness of people's hearts. Donation drives were set up. The food bank was a really big help. I know Mercy chefs had stepped in up at Plantation. And a lot of it was just people just doing what they thought was right, using their own boats, their own charter boats from their company, bringing stuff and supplies from the other side. And anywhere you went, it was just, what do you need? What can we help? How can we help you guys? And it was just like, people were just helping people, you know? I think the government stepped in, I want to say almost like a week after the fire.
Yeah.
That's when National Guard was set up, and National Guard was just there just for the point of keeping people out of the neighborhoods and so that they could do searches and whatnot. I do know that FEMA is helping in town recover bodies, and they're helping chemo as well. Chemo's been allowed to help move some structures out of the way so that the cadaver dogs can get in there and recover people. But yeah, as far as I've seen from this end, it's all just been the people helping the people, and it's been not just Maui that's helping Maui, it's the other islands and some outer states as well. People just coming from all over each way, just reaching out their hands and being willing to help has been super heartwarming for sure. So
Yeah. Lahaina and the people all around us have really stepped in. We have probably the strongest community of anyone I can think of. I mean, I've lived here my whole life. Sarah's born and raised in Hawaii. She came over here when she was 17. She's been here for 4 years, and you know, she's even touched by how much we come together as a community to help one another. And after the fires, you know, like that night that it was all happening still, you could see when the sun went down, you could see the flames, even all the way from Napilihau, like all the flames from Lahaina. And it was just like, I knew that everybody was going to help one another, but I didn't know to the extent that it would go. And it's just, like she said, so heartwarming and so cool. I don't put it past us as a community to help one another and do the things that we've done. You know, I've heard countless stories of some of my personal friends, some of their family passing away, and other stories of people barely making it out. So many of my friends barely making it out, and you know, I'm blessed to say that a lot of them have, but a lot of them haven't. And I think that goes to show kind of the places where we need help next time, you know. I don't want to say that there's going to be another fire, but there is going to be another fire, because that's just reality. It happens every year. And we had, this time around, it just felt like no one really knew what was happening. They didn't know how bad the fires were going to get. And I'm not trying to down anybody. And I don't really think, obviously some things could have been done differently throughout the county. Just preparing people and letting them know that the fire was worse than it was. You know, sometimes we get like flood alerts on our phones, or we get stuff like that sent out to the whole community. But this time around, we didn't get anything. No one really knew, and everybody was just kind of holding their ground, because you know, everybody's been here for so long, generations. Some of these houses are generations on generations long, and people just were trying to protect what they had. And by the time they thought it was time to go, it was already too late. And yeah, we have a long ways to go, but wow, it's like this whole entire week we've had everybody just hands on deck. Every beach is filled up with a boat that has supplies on supplies coming to get food drives. People need clothes, this, everything. From day one, it was all there for us. And yeah, it's National Guard. It's interesting to see them all come in. As soon as they stepped in, Chemo was helping throughout the whole week, and as soon as they stepped in, Chemo was trying to go through the same place to get to his base yard to help out, and you know, they wouldn't let him through. And it's interesting to see that. It almost kind of felt that without the National Guard, that we were doing better off as a community, you know. Like Kimo said, and he keeps posting, and he's very big on social media. He's just been telling everybody, stay here, because our people is what makes Lahaina Lahaina, and without that, what are we, you know?
I definitely think that there should have been some warning more than word of mouth. For me personally, a phone call from my brother. That's the warning that I got, that there was a fire. And I know a lot of people didn't get a warning from anyone. I met multiple people who, it was a Tuesday afternoon, people were taking a nap, you know? I met a few people who were either waking up by their roommate or by smoke inhalation, and they woke up and they grabbed their dog and they ran down the street. I watched a press conference where he said he didn't regret sounding the siren, which I'm pretty sure everyone knows was just not the best thing to say, but a warning is a warning, you know? If I'm taking a nap, I'm gonna hear a siren and I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna figure out what's going on. I just feel like there could have been a few more steps that could have been taken to at least save one or two more lives. It could have been a lot less, a fire's devastating, but it could have been a lot less devastating with lower numbers on the death toll. And I think that could have been accomplished by sounding some sort of an alarm, sending out a nationwide text message. I mean, they sent out a false nuclear missile a few years ago, and they couldn't send out that there's a fire coming this year. I think there were a lot of excuses made, but the fire department definitely did what they could have done. A lot of them lost their homes, and you know, that's what you sign up for, is to just keep fighting for your community. And I'm super grateful to the fire department for doing their job and doing the best that they could. But as far as more higher overseers, I do believe that there could have been more of a warning to the people of Lahaina, especially because I was just warned by my brother, luckily enough. But I know there's a lot of people who didn't get that, so yeah. You want to say anything? I'm getting a phone call.
No, that's it.
All right, you guys want to continue on and talk about what you want the future for Lahaina and what might happen and what you like the ideal situation.
Yeah. I mean, just as much as any other person, or especially someone who's Hawaiian, you know, you never want to see the land here go to just some big money maker and somebody who's rich who's not going to care about the culture and just put whatever a big ugly building they want here, you know. I feel like Lahaina can be restored in its natural beauty or just a new one if we have the right people in here building and doing what they know best. I do believe that like Lahaina land should stay in Lahaina hands, you know. And that's the best way to just like keep Hawaii is keep Hawaiians in Hawaii. And it was already a problem before the fires of like people being priced out of paradise. And now the matters are just a lot worse. The odds are not in people's favors here. And it's so easy for people. I know I've met a few people who just feel like their life has ended here because there's no job, there's no school for their kids, there's no house, you know. And they leave. But I do think it's important to stand your ground and keep your land here if you can. Even though like the rebuilding of Lahaina is going to take a few years for sure, you know. If you have an opportunity to keep Lahaina, I definitely hold on to it. So.
Yep, couldn't have said it better. Lahaina, keep it Lahaina. I mean, growing up here, honestly, nothing has changed. The only thing is that there's been higher numbers in tourism, probably a little bit more people that didn't live here before are now living here. That's the one thing that we love it, the tourism aspect. It keeps us on our feet, but we need to keep Lahaina as it once was. And you know, that might not be possible. You know, like she said, the 75-foot rule from the water. There's so many things that go into now what we could have done, but Front Street. We don't know if Front Street's going to be Front Street anymore. We need to start looking at what reality is, because it's called historical Lahaina, and everything historic, from my knowledge, is gone. The library is gone. All of our museums are gone on Front Street. Everything that we once knew is no longer here. It's just in our memories, which is, the people who knew Lahaina before the fires will always hold with them. But it's going to be so interesting to see what Lahaina becomes. And I think what we can start doing is keep our lands to the people who actually own land in Hawaii, and not just the homeowners but the business owners. And because with business owners comes also the business people and their families. So keeping it real and keeping it how it used to be is going to be the best part to keep Lahaina strong and kind of create what we used to have. And even whenever all the fires were happening, like I was telling people, I'm gonna miss doing that. I'm gonna miss the cars and random lots. I'm gonna miss the burnt down cars and fields, and I know that's not eco-friendly and all that, but that was Lahaina. There was a lot of stuff that is not going to be the same, and it's going to be a whole new community. It's going to look all brand new, which is going to be interesting, because some of these buildings are hundreds of years old. And I know, I think it was Lahaina Restoration, they were starting to redo houses that were hundreds of years old, and all those houses are gone. So I'd say just trying to keep Lahaina as much as it can the same, and try and keep it in good hands, especially with we've been talking story about who's going to start building all of everything back up, who's going to start bulldozing everything, and there's talk of Goodfellow coming in to take over all of that, and that's really not going to be ideal for anybody. That means no one's going to make money in that case. No local people. I mean, they'll hire local people, but they might just fly in people from the mainland to come help do that, and that's not what we want. We want people like Chemo, Truex, we want Alpha, we want all the local people to get that work that they've always had and they should have for the rest of their lives here in Lahaina and in the rest of the island. So yeah.
So for all the people out there in the world that they're all watching us, what do you have to tell them about how they can help, or when they are able to come back and visit?
I would say it's best to support and donate to families directly. I know there's a bunch of fundraisers and widespread GoFundMes that are set up for people, but I feel like the best way you can personally bless someone is just to do it from one to one person. There's a bunch of GoFundMe links floating around. There's a bunch of Venmos posted. I know there's an Instagram account. I can't remember what the name is, but they've been posting a bunch of Venmos of families who have lost their homes, and just to support people. There are a lot of people who have just lost everything. After the fire, I would wake up and I'm like, I own nothing, and it's super weird. And it was very heartwarming just to not be able to have to ask for help, because the community here just does it without request. And all of the donations and everything is really great, but people who have just had their house burnt down, they want financial stability as well. And that's why I believe it's a really good option to just find a local family's GoFundMe, ask around, look up those Instagram pages. You can just directly send somebody $5. If there were a whole state who just sent one person $5, that's a lot of money. It doesn't have to be a couple grand, but financial stability is really important moving forward for people's lives after this. Yeah.
I would say the biggest part is just helping the families who need it. There's, like Shara said, there's a lot of people, including myself and Sierra, that have lost literally everything. I used to be a professional stand-up paddleboard, and I had all of my surfboards. I had all of my memories, all of everything that I grew up with was in my house, and it's all gone, you know. Like, my favorite thing was to go into the water, into the ocean, and surf and wash off my day. And now I don't have even one board to do so, you know. And that right there is that was the biggest, craziest thing to me, is that I don't even have a board or anything to do with. And now, just because of the people that I love around me, I can do that, and I can go get myself another board to live the way we once did. And, you know, the biggest part is just giving back. That's all we need right now. And if you don't have money, if you don't have anything to give, we just say a prayer. You know, that's also the biggest thing. Me and Sarah and her whole family, we all love God. And if you don't love God and you don't know who God is, just say a prayer anyways. He'll hear you, and that's what we're here to do. If you have $0, you can't even spend to eat, you know, just say a prayer. That's all you can really do at that point. And sometimes it doesn't come down to the money. It comes down to the people who are sending us water, sending us some crackers. It doesn't matter. So just, you know, anything you can do will help our community and help our people.
And what about the people that are wanting to come back and visit, and for the people that might be trying to buy land in Lahaina specifically?
I'd say as far as visiting, it's kind of a touchy subject right now, especially on the west side. I know there are a few things going around about Kahului side is open, you know, north side is open, but I know personally, like, if you are planning to visit Maui, which I would not recommend right now, don't come to the west side. There's nothing here for you to do unless you're willing to help and volunteer. You know, it's just, there was a whole town that burnt down along with memories, loved ones, animals. The town is going to rebuild, but before that we need time to mourn and grieve. You know, you grieve people, but you also grieve a town and all the memories that left with it. And I just like know that, like, it's just not to see it like a family come by like on the beach on vacation during a time like this. It's not helping anyone. But I do know that on the other side of the island, a lot of businesses are open and fully functioning, and there are a lot of tourism industries on that side. If you feel the need to come to Maui just for a vacation, definitely stay on that side. Support those local businesses over there. Unless you're bringing donations in or willing to help and volunteer and put some hours in on this end, stay on that side, you know. Yeah.
I'd say the same, you know, as far as coming to Maui. You know, this is one of the biggest tourist attractions in the world, and you know, Maui's been rated #1 for many years as the best of the Hawaiian Islands, and you know, this used to be the capital of Hawaii, and people love coming here for that reason. But a lot of people love to come to the west side specifically, and there is no west side really. It's only us. The west side is our community now, and all we have as of right now is Laniapoko and Napili all up north. So I'd say if you're gonna come visit, you know, at least if you're gonna come visit, like Sarah said, don't come to the west side, but when you come, lend a hand, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter, you know. If it's unloading one boat or if it's literally going and supporting other businesses, that helps too, because a lot of the businesses that didn't get affected in Kahului, wherever on that other side, they're actually helping us a lot too. You know, they're donating money to us, or they're donating meals to us, you know. A lot of our food has been free because just we have such a great community that just wants to help. It doesn't matter about the money. So just the #1 thing is being very respectful and just understanding that we're all like really grieving. This is our home. This is our aina. This is where we've all grown up, and it's so sad to see people that are still here. And you know, like, I've been to the beach a couple times just to try and wash off my day and try and get some normalcy again, and it is very interesting seeing tourists still here, and we're not trying to be mean about it or upset about it, but it is concerning when we see people not helping and just trying to have a good time when there's a crisis happening on this island. So yeah, just be respectful and come with an open heart and willing to help our community.
And if people want to donate to you guys directly, do you guys have a GoFundMe set up?
I do. I have a GoFundMe set up for my mom and I. Money's not going to replace certain things. My father had passed away 4 years ago, and we had lost pretty much everything that belonged to him. And yeah, you know, as much as anybody else who lost their house, we do have to start over from scratch. And like I said earlier, financial stability is always a great start. And as to the people who have already donated to my mom and I am deeply grateful. I've started like writing personal thank yous, but I haven't gotten through all of them. But support has been overwhelming, especially from strangers. I'm seeing a lot of names I don't even recognize, and it's just, you know, it's showing a lot of aloha, and I'm so grateful for that. So thank you.
Yeah. And for me personally, you know, I'm blessed enough to have family out in the mainland who actually made our GoFundMe for us, and you know, we're well off. I don't need anything personally. You know, I'd rather it go to Sierra and her mom or someone else who really needs it or seems like they need some more help or they lost a family member. Yeah, personally, I don't need anything, but just a prayer, like I said, always helps. It always goes a long way, just hearing those prayers and knowing that they're coming through for us. But yeah, just donating to other families, and you know, like Sierra said, there's some just pages full of families that have lost everything, and all it takes is $1 even, or a prayer, like I said. So yeah, I'm good personally, but just helping our community and helping others that need it is going to be huge.